Good. That's good. All right. Thanks. Yeah. All right. We ready? All right. Testing. Okay, I'd like to get the meeting moving forward, so if everyone could take their seats, that'd be terrific. Great. All right. I'd like to call the meeting to order. We have 21 members present, so that represents a quorum. So I guess we're free to conduct our business. First of all, I'd like to welcome some of our dignitaries that are here tonight. First of all, I'd like to welcome Mayor Zai Kamkinsi Vora Vong. Did I get that right, Cam? I know. Not a little close. All right. I practiced all day too. Very happy to have you here, Cam. Hi. Zai. Also, I'm not sure if I've seen them yet, but Lynn Segley and Dave Carlin are both here tonight as well, I believe. I would like to welcome them. And also Steve Casey, our representative Steve Casey's here as well. Thank you all for coming. I'd like to look for a motion to waive the reading of the minutes from the June 9th annual meeting. A second? All in favor? Very helpful, thank you. Also, I would like to present the book of minutes for all of our board meetings for the year. These are also available for anyone that would like to look at them, okay? I'd like to request for a motion to ratify the actions and proceedings of the Board of Trustees during the past year. And a second? All in favor? Great, thank you. Okay, next, I'm going to try it again, Mayor. I know I could call you just Mayor Sai, but I'm going to give it one more try. I'd like to introduce Sai Kamsi Voravong, the Mayor of Newport. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thanks.
I really do just prefer to go by Zai, so please in the future, we'll put a lot of time into prepping for that. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Well, first, let me recognize a couple other members of government, right? So I'm just the latest in a legacy of public servants who have helped this community build up. But of course, there's a great advocate at the State House that works for the PS on a regular basis. That's former Speaker Bill Murphy, who's with us here this evening. Also, former Councilor Keith Stokes, who's an incredible advocate in the historic preservation community, is here with us. And you heard the House Municipal Services Chairman, which I care awful lot about as the mayor, get recognized earlier, Steve Casey, but the person you should really know is his better half, who's a volunteer here at the PS, and that's Deborah Hunt. And so it's my honor to bring welcome from the city of Newport here this evening. And on the drive over, I thought about what a unique thing and what a unique honor it is to be the mayor of this city, right? Earlier today, I got to speak at a graduation ceremony for a group of folks who were recently released from incarceration. They graduated from a program to help them reintegrate back into society. Shortly after this, I'll be leaving to speak at the graduation for Rogers. This is a high school where these students have persevered despite over half of them being people of color, over half being from backgrounds that qualify for federally free and reduced lunch, and over half of which are coming from single parent households. And I'm thinking about that as I'm driving over to speak at this incredible venue. And I get a constituent phone call, not about parking, not about traffic. These are all very popular. But the person says, have you heard about this missing peacock? I thought to myself, missing peacock? Is this like a missing chapter from Theopolis North, right? Or have the folks at NBC sent their mascot over to troll Julian Fellows and the crew from HBO Gilded Age? No, it made me reflect on that this is a really unique place to be. So how did I end up here, and why am I serving here in Newport? What's so special? And how does the PS relate to that? Well, I'm here, like many people end up in Newport, because of my wife. And no, she is not a native from Newport and dragging me back to her home roots. She's actually from Buffalo, New York. Before moving here, Allie had never once come to visit, but she had always been obsessed with moving to Newport. And the reason why is that as a child, going to the pediatrician's office, she would see pictures of Newport and became captivated with this place. So captivated that she worked in every single odd job you can imagine, from scooping ice cream to selling Chevys, until she had enough money to make the move down here to Rhode Island. And so when you look at the PS and what it has traditionally stood for, right, it is that ability to use our historic structures to capture our imagination, to give us a view into our past, to see what we can learn from that. And much of the model for years for the PS was very focused on the power of history to draw people, to help transform this community into what it is. I'll mention briefly one of my colleagues in government, one of my great mentors, former Mayor Jean Marie Napolitano, who did much of that great work helping Newport rebound into the incredible tourism industry that we have today. But what's remarkable really isn't how I ended up here and what drew Allie in here, really, but why I think it's so interesting to be involved today, why the work that you're all doing today is so important. And that's really this conversion that's happening here as Newport is having its second Gilded Age. What do we do now that we have harnessed people's imagination? Where do we convert to, and what role does the PS have in all of that? You know, Shruti, I went through and read the old annual reports, and one of the things I can't figure out is the burden seems to get greater and greater for the PS, and yet in every single photo, you look younger and younger and younger. And I gotta say, we could not be prouder as a community of the Pell Award that you recently received. Congratulations on that. But the key, and the reason why I'm so thankful for what the PS does, is this conversion that the PS did. When you read the 2022 report, when you read Trudy's remarks from last year, what it reflects is Newport getting back to its roots, what we really have to offer here, right, which is being an innovation and creativity hub. There's something very special about this place that takes some of the greatest minds in our country's history and convinces them to think outside the typical boundaries. And that's what the PS has been doing over the past 2 years. When you look at the language that's being used, it's gone from counts as to how many people you've moved through these properties, to the different types of people that you've brought in, to the different types of stories you've been able to tell. You look at many of the things that the PS is so proud of, over 35 community and family programs in the year of 2022. Can't wait to see what that is for 2023. You look at efforts to open up these magnificent buildings to the community through things like performances by Newport Contemporary Ballet, to concerts, to films, right? To opening that accessibility through things like accepting EBT to get reductions in admission costs, to free admission days for Newport County residents, over 5,000 residents taking advantage of that. And also not stopping there, but making sure people could actually get here through partnerships with organizations like RIPTA, through offering free trolley service, thanks to the generosity of Discover Newport, this organization in the Episcopalian Diocese. You see, what you've done is you've converted. This is the conversion that needs to happen for the future of an organization like PS, to go beyond just drawing people in, but to send out disciples. And it's working. That young woman that you drew in, I luckily was able to convince to marry me, today is a trust and estates attorney who focuses her practice on planned giving. But it's more than that. Her personal passion is historic preservation. So much so that she recently co-chaired the Providence Preservation Society's annual campaign. So much so that she convinced me, who after living in and owning several historic properties, vowing never again to own a historic home, now live in a 1777 home in the Point. And somebody who I was so set on convincing to marry me that I proposed to her on the front steps of the organization Ruth Taylor currently chairs, the State Historic Preservation Office. And so what you've done now is you're now creating a generation of stewards of historic preservation, whose interest was sparked by the Preservation Society's work, who have moved into our community to do this work every single day. People like Jillian Chin, the city's historic preservation officer, who spent time here at Salve being inspired by this project. People like Rebecca Bertrand, the young dynamic leader of the Newport Historic Society, a great partner for the PS. So I just wanted to be here on behalf of my colleagues from the City Council to thank you, to thank the PS, and to welcome you to the City of Newport this evening. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cy. So I apologize. I never introduced myself. I do love to run a fast meeting. So if you see, seems like we're on a racetrack, I'll slow down. My name is Bill Lucy. I am the current chairman of the board of the Preservation Society. Thank you all for being here. It's so wonderful. Well, it's always good to put your glasses on. I'd like to acknowledge two past chairmen who are here with us tonight, Monty Burnham and Don Ross. Thank you so much. Many of you come to these meetings year after year. Some of you come to hear the speeches. Probably not. Some of you come here to enjoy the spectacular view of the ocean, and many of you are here to support the amazing people who will be receiving our Laurel Awards tonight. We'll be hearing more about them later, but for now, let's give them a nice round of applause, please. In the end, I think that we're all here because we feel a sense of community when we're together. A community bound by our common interest in history, Newport, and the preservation of these historic places. We are bound together by our sense that the Newport mansions are a fun place to be, places where we see old friends, enjoy events like the flower show and the wine and food festival. The Newport mansions are an important gathering place for the whole community. That community is in Newport and far beyond. We are a hub of activities to enjoy arts and culture. Here are a few examples. The Newport Classical Summer Concert Series, documentary movie screenings by Newport Film, performances by Newport Contemporary Ballet, including the beloved Newport Nutcracker, exhibitions of contemporary art in collaboration with Art in Newport, and the incredible antique cars that the Audrain Museum brings to the breakers every year. The list goes on and on. For local families, this is also a place where their kids can learn and grow. They participate in our summer programs. They visit the mansions through our collaboration with the Girl Scouts, the Boys and Girls Club, Fab Newport, Sankofa Community Connection, the Martin Luther King Center, and numerous local schools. The Preservation Society also supports the community in other unique ways. Each year, we donate thousands of pounds of vegetables grown in our gardens at Green Animals to the Martin Luther King Center and Lucy's Hearth. Every holiday season, we arrange for a big evergreen tree to be placed in the Washington Square as Newport's official Christmas tree. We also donate the flowers that beautify Toro Park. And let's not forget our collaborations with other nonprofits to repair historic stone walls on Aquinic Island and to get the utility lines put underground in some of the island's most scenic places. But to maintain the Newport mansions as a community gathering place, we need to, well, maintain the Newport mansions. It's amazing how much money we've put into preserving and restoring our building in the past few years. Just look at Rosecliff. Millions of dollars and months of work are going into replacing the roof and balustrade, repointing the exterior, refinishing the wrought iron, replacing the ballroom floor, and much more. Look at Marble House, where a major steam cleaning effort has brightened the facade and made the house look better than it has in many years. And look at the Breakers Landscape Revival, which has made the grounds much more attractive and welcoming for our visitors. Much of the money we raise goes right back into our properties, but fundraising for the mansions is like climbing a mountain of ping pong balls. As hard as we try, we never reach the top. We face daunting expenses just to keep the mansions in good shape. Under our new strategic plan, we expect to spend over $28 million in the next 5 years. Hunter House and Isaac Bell both need extensive work. Chateau Samir needs a climate control system. And we need to build a modern storage facility to protect our collections. You all know where this is headed. You're going to be hearing from us. We need your support to fulfill our mission to protect, preserve, and present these magnificent properties. The community needs us, and we need the community to help us ensure a bright future. Thank you. Next, we'll be hearing from our Treasurer and Vice Chairman, Peter Harris.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is the mayor gone, I hope? Because we've had a very good year. I don't want to pay more taxes, yeah. All right. What I'm going to try to do, we've had some compelling remarks. I'm going to try to give you an overview of the financials, what we're going to spend this year, why we're doing it, and most importantly, why it's important for us in Newport and the state. First, the financials. We had a strong financial year. Our fiscal year ended on March 31, and we exceeded our revenue estimate by $6.7 million. And we held operating expenses on budget. Our success in 2022 was due in large part to the return of normal utilization patterns by you, the members, admissions numbers going up just almost at pre-pandemic levels, and pent-up demand for special events. Phil Pelletier, God bless his soul, was so busy last year. I don't know, there's 75 weddings, I think. It was unbelievable. We're going to invest this $6.7 million back into the historic properties this year. Bill mentioned work being done at Rosecliff, Marble House, and the Breakers. I'd like to mention a few more of those preservation projects we're doing this year. Half the windows at Elms are being painted, and the other half are being painted at the end of this year. That alone costs hundreds of thousands of dollars. The front entrance to the steps to the Elms were reset, and the ironwork was sandblasted and freshly painted. Chepstow needed siding replaced, and the carriage house needed repairs. Kingscote was scraped and primed, and when the final coat was put on, and the conservation team had to go in and determine the original color, and also has a new state-of-the-art security system. Those are some of the systems, some of the projects we're working on. The budget for this year, which starts in April 2 months ago, is equally ambitious, with another $7 million earmarked for our houses. We must always remember, we don't preserve our houses to make money. We make money to preserve our houses. Anybody know where that quote came from? No? That was from the owner of the Biltmore back in 1960, when he was there. It was a guy called Bill Cecil. As a nonprofit, however, everything we bring in goes right back into our houses. Let's face it, keeping $1 billion worth of centuries-old houses in excellent shape is expensive. As Bill mentioned earlier, we're going to spend $28 million over the next 5 years. So one may ask, why do we do this? On one level, as our mission states, we protect, we preserve, and we present. Our houses carry exceptional historical and cultural value. They provide indelible insights into the architectural styles, the art collections, the lifestyles of the past. If you don't believe it, just ask any recent visitor who's come to Newport, and the one thing he remembers is the mansions. And yes, keeping these mansions in first-class conditions is not inexpensive. We have restoration and maintenance costs, compliance with building and historic preservation codes, a limited availability of specialized materials, and of course, the labor-intensive craftsmanship, that attention to detail that workers back in the Gilded Age exhibited so well. For example, the back terrace at the Breakers is going to have to be restored. It is starting to crumble. This is a place enjoyed by hundreds of thousands of people a year, and we can't let it make a bad impression. Why? Because that's what you and all our guests expect. Whether they paid $25 for a tour or $500 for a special tour, they expect a first-class experience. They want to feel, imagine what it's like 125 years ago. It is this image, this experience, which actually our mayor captured very well, I thought, that keeps people coming here, and what makes us the economic engine of Newport and the state of Rhode Island. Our visitors fill hotel rooms. Dale Venturini is very happy about that. They shop in local businesses. They support local jobs. Speaking of local jobs, we are also a major job creator, whether it's our own 214 employees or those of the contractors and service providers who work for us, contractors like Donovan and Sons, Shamrock Electric, Newport Window Restoration, Grand Masonry, R.P. Marzilli, landscapers, and Peckham Brothers, to name a few. These firms have large staffs that benefit from the work we provide. So in closing, the money we make, the money that goes right back in our houses, has a multiplier effect across local and state economy. That's why your support means so much. It goes such a long way, and we thank you. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Peter. Very well said. Next, I'd like to introduce Trudy Cox, our CEO, for her remarks.
Thank you. Is it up on the screen? I want to start out with good news. This morning, 3 deer were born at Green Animals. 3 little fawns, look at that one. And it's so amazing because we have 3 deer that are made out of Legos, also at Green Animals. There you see it. Thanks to David and Carol Bazarski for underwriting this particular exhibition. So isn't that cute? So anyway, wow, I can't tell you, this view is unbelievable, even in the smoke. The color of the Chinese tea house is grand, that red. You know, as I stand here at Marble House, I am reminded of a day in September 2019 when the Wine and Food Festival was in full swing. Thousands of people were having a great time. I did something that I never do, and that is I played hooky. I left the Wine and Food Festival to go to the movies. It was a new movie in town. The performance was at 4:45 that afternoon, a movie called Downton Abbey. And the reason that I did it was because we were having a secret dinner that we were not allowed to talk about with Julian Fellows, the producers, the director, Michael Engler, and the set designer here in the Gold Room that night at 7 o'clock. And I really wanted to be able to say to Julian Fellows, I've seen your movie and I love it. Well, we, the Preservation Society team, and Steve Feinberg was one of those people, we did everything we could that night to wow our guests with the hope that they would walk away saying to each other, we have got to film here in Newport. And you all know the rest of the story. Season 1 premiered in January of 2022. Season 2 will air, we are told, in September. And the show has higher demand than 95.8% of all drama titles in the US, so not bad. You also know that HBO's presence in Newport in the winter of 2021, which was really the tough winter for all of us, was a godsend. It was an economic shot in the arm, not just for the Preservation Society, and believe me, it saved our bacon, but for many, many businesses in the region, because having 500 actors and many others here in town really helped a lot. So a thank you to Lord Fellows and to others. As Bill and Peter have pointed out, we have had a very good year. We're in a really good place right now. And I think there is one reason for that success. And very simply, it is that we at the Preservation Society are really driven by the idea of being the best historic house museum in America. That's a big challenge, I know, but that's what we want, to be the center for Gilded Age history. And I think we've made a lot of progress towards that goal. I'm going to tell you a story that is very personal to me, and it hurt a lot, but it will explain to you why being the best is important. When I first arrived here, I met with some extremely important donors, and I told them that my aim was to get accreditation for the Preservation Society by the American Alliance of Museums. And that was important because there are 30,000 museums in America, and fewer than 1,000 are accredited. So getting that stamp of approval would really help us stand tall. And I remember that one of the donors began to laugh and said, "Museum? Museum? You're just a party house." And that's when the decision was made that the Preservation Society will be the best historic house museum in America. And I hope you understand why. And that's why I think all of you are supporting us, and that's why HBO came here to Newport to film. There are a lot of spin-offs. Now see, in this quest to become the best, you have already heard, we have not given up our mission. Our mission is to take care of the houses, and it's a big job. And I hope you're proud of all the work that has been done. We couldn't do it without your support. In a recent lecture that we heard from Gilded Age historian Michael Cullinane, we had the best collection of speakers, the best in America, come to Newport over the last 4 or 5 months. We learned that the Gilded Age is characterized by one word, and that word is transformation. The world changed, he told us. The world changed more during the 30 to 40 years of the Gilded Age than it did in the previous 1,000. Now that is a big, bold statement, and it represents a bold moment in our history. It was a time of uber innovation, uber experimentation, uber inventiveness, and many of the inventions created 100+ years ago are unbelievably still with us today. They have evolved, but they are with us. So it was an incredible period of time. To me, the word transformation suits the Preservation Society right now. And our last few years have been marked by nothing else but the word change. Sometimes the change has been a lot of fun. Sometimes it has been horrible, but it has been all about change. And I want to give you 3 examples of what I consider to be good examples of transformation. The first, we made a proactive decision to change the way we market ourselves, advertise ourselves, brand ourselves. I'm going to show you a TV ad in a second that illustrates the approach that we are now taking. And as you look at this ad, I think you'll agree that you can't think of a museum anywhere in America that is taking the innovative approach that we're taking. You will like this ad or you will not like this ad. But I'll tell you one thing, it won't leave your mind. You will remember it. So the payoff from this experiment of this new ad was 3.7 million views, which is really good. And we are beginning this ad campaign again because it turned out to be so successful the first time around. So we will play the ad.
The world is changing. The days of indulgence and excess are over. Our family has never been more vulnerable. There are wolves nipping at our heels. We must stay together. For divided, we will fall.
So that's the approach. It is transformational. We are transforming the way we teach history. Again, a directive of our board came out of our strategic planning process. Bigger, bolder stories, more inclusive stories, a lot of research is being done. It's not just a story of Cornelius Vanderbilt. There are many other stories in Newport that need to be told and need to be taught. And we're looking at ways to become more digital. And I'll tell you, we're working with 2 firms right now. This is a very hard assignment, and it will probably be very expensive, but there are no museums around that are doing really innovative digital work, digital technology work. So we are on the cutting edge. Imagine going into the Elms in a year and walking into the ballroom and seeing a virtual ballroom dance taking place. There are a lot of things that are being talked about and experimented with, and who knows where that will go. But it is important because we need to attract a younger crowd for no other reason but that we all will be dependent upon those younger people sooner rather than later, unfortunately, and we need to transform the way we tell stories in the way that they comprehend and understand. And then third, we're spending a lot of time thinking about the role that museums play on the sustainability front. It might not seem like museums would have anything to do with sustainability, but you have to admit that with the heat waves, the intense hurricanes, I mean, who didn't turn their heat on a week ago in June because it was so cold? How did that happen? Flooding in areas that have never experienced flooding before. It does force you, it requires us to think about how we as individuals and we as businesses could be greener. Should we be greener? I think we should. So we do all the things that need to be done. We recycle. We recycle in our cafe. Our cutlery is made out of bamboo. We create our own mulch. Our trees are mulched with our own mulch. We've installed geothermal systems. We've saved lots of energy and lots of fuel with geothermal. We are not using phosphorus on our lawns. So if Almy Pond is polluted by phosphorus, it's not coming from the Preservation Society. And that is an important issue because Almy Pond is the second dirtiest pond in Rhode Island, and it's only down the street. If our lawns turn brown in summer, so be it, we'll live with it. We've commissioned a report recently to look at Hunter House. How do you protect that house for the next 400 years, given the fact that there's a lot of flooding in the point section, given the fact that there is sea level rise? If you care about Hunter House, we've got a plan for now. So those transformational sustainability issues are really important, but it is a very different way from how most museums think. So the most feared word in the English language, I think, is change. I think it takes a lot of guts and a lot of fortitude to face the headwinds of change. We've kind of mimicked our ancestors from the 1880s, putting transformation at the top of our list. I have to tell you, we couldn't go through some of the transformation that we are going through without a lot of things that are in place. There's a spirit about the Preservation Society that I really regard and respect very much. And it starts with our board and the leadership of Bill as our chairman, Bill Lucy as our chairman. It starts with a fantastically smart staff. I'd like to ask the board and the staff to please stand because you all deserve a great round of applause. There are some employees here. Bravo. Come on, board members. And then for all of our members, as Bill and Peter have both said, we can't do the job without you, so we thank you so very much. Your involvement, your financial support, your many ideas that come my way. I get a lot of emails every day with a lot of ideas, and I really appreciate them, so keep it coming. Thank you. Onwards to being the best historic house museum in America. I think we can do it. Thank you.
That is one of the best CEOs in the United States of America. Right there. We're moving right along, which really makes me happy. I'd like next to call on Dave Bazarski to come up and give the report of the Governance Committee. Thank you, Dave.
Before I begin, there's a large puddle of water. It's from a drink, I think, over by this statue over here. The floor is very slippery, so anybody in this section, just be really careful when you walk by the statue. Thank you. It's my honor tonight to recognize 3 extraordinary trustees whose terms have expired and will be greatly missed for their true dedication to the Preservation Society, and to thank them for their countless hours they have given to help preserve our properties and to make the PS the great organization that it is. Holly Bannister, I'm going to ask Holly to stand. Stand, Holly. Holly, we thank you for your Keep standing, Holly. We thank you for your generosity, your keen eye for design and decoration, your support for our collections committee, and as a physician, your advisory work on health issues. Thank you, Holly. Naomi Neville? She's not here. Well, I would just read, if she were here, I would have said, our thanks to you for co-chairing the Properties Committee, in particular your invaluable insights as an architect to help us get ready for Rosecliff's restoration, and as a former city councilor and vice mayor of Newport, your knowledge about issues affecting the Newport community. Now, I know this next person is here, John Mutteridge. John, we thank you for your analytical approach to addressing challenges and issues affecting the PS, and for your hands-on commitment to getting our DEAI, Diversity, Equity, Accessibility, and Inclusion Initiative, off the ground in such a way that it can one day be a model for other institutions. Thank you, John. And now it's my pleasure to welcome and ask to rise our three new trustees. Allah Isham, Lark Mason, Sinead Hall-Shea. Welcome to the Board of Trustees. We have 4 current trustees who are being nominated for a second term, and I would ask them to rise. These 4 were elected in June of 2020 when COVID was just on the rise. There were only 10 people in person when they were elected in the music room of the Breakers. The rest were on Zoom. So today's in-person meeting is a much more fitting for their re-election. Meg Braff, Bill Corcoran, Ted Sanderson, and Rusty Powell, who could not be with us this evening. Thank you. There are 2 trustees who are being nominated for a third 3-year term so that they can serve on the executive committee. I would like to ask them to rise. Stephen Gewirtz, Dale Verturini. Thank you.
Would someone please make a motion for the nominations to be closed? A second? All in favor? Great. All in favor of the slated nominees signify by saying yay. Those opposed, nay. And for those members attending by webinar, please vote indicating yay or nay via the webinar voting function. Yay? Thank you.
The vote on Zoom is a yes.
Yes, terrific. Thank you very much. The yeas have it. Welcome to all of the new trustees. Dave?
The slate of offices to be voted on by the Board of Trustees at their annual meeting immediately following this annual meeting of the membership is Chairman William F. Lucy III, Vice Chairman and Treasurer Peter W. Harris, Vice Chairman Kim Darden, Secretary Janet L. Robinson.
So that vote will be taken at a meeting of the Board of Trustees immediately following this meeting. So thank you very much. Thank you, David. right, now we come to one of my favorite parts of this meeting, and this is the award part of the evening. So first, I'd like to introduce Kim Darden, who is going to be presenting the Laurel Award for volunteerism. Kim?
Hello. This evening, we are pleased to recognize 20 outstanding garden volunteers. When I call your names, would you please come up front and join our volunteer coordinator, Deborah Hunt, next to the stage, please. First, we have Judith Kavanaugh, Christine Frizocco, Pam Fleming, Ron Fleming, Caroline Fry, Jane L.B. Griffith, Elaine Hart, Barb Holland, Barbara Komodo Berg, Sheila Lang, Judith Meyer, Annegret Miller, Louise Murray, Hinda Perdreau, Carolyn Petrocelli, Katrina Pierce, Jenny Rhodes, Jerry Stevens, Nina Weiss, and Helen Welsh. Everybody up? It's a great group. I didn't know about that. Thank you. Special recognition to Louise Murray, who unfortunately can't be with us this evening. Louise, who's in her 90s, worked more than 70 hours last summer at Green Animals in the heat and sun with never a complaint. Thank you, Louise. These volunteers range in age from 40 to 95 years old. Collectively, they have contributed over 2,000 hours of service at Green Animals in 2022 alone. To put this in perspective, this accounts for fully a third of the total Preservation Society of Newport County's volunteer effort in that year. Their dedication brought them to the property in all kinds of weather, where they have maintained the high standard of horticulture excellence, which has been the hallmark of Green Animals topiary gardens for over a century. The Green Animals volunteers are as varied as the work they do in the gardens. They come together in the gardens from all walks of life. They share their talents, enthusiasm, energy, while assisting in nearly every aspect of garden success. Among the many things they do, volunteers have engaged with visitors to help connect them to the gardens by talking about plants, their selections, design elements, and encouraging seasonal visits. Volunteers help plant, maintain, label, dig, store, and sort 800 dahlias, roughly 300 of which are replanted in the garden, while the rest are sold during the Preservation Society of Newport County's annual plant sale. Volunteers assist in labeling, tagging, stickering, and setting up the annual plant sale. Volunteers have helped plant tens of thousands of seedlings in the gardens, as well as thousands of perennials and ground covers. Remarkably, these volunteers have helped plant more than 80,000 bulbs over the property in the last 8 years. I know, it's outstanding, isn't it? Volunteers have assisted in painting fences, buildings, window boxes, planters, tables, chairs, and more. Volunteers have cleared away countless amounts of invasive species from our native and cultivated species, preserving the natural landscape areas. Volunteers have helped repair the stone walls surrounding the property. And finally, volunteers have dedicated countless hours to weeding. Please join me in congratulating the Green Animals volunteers.
We have to take a picture.
Tonight it is my honor to present the Laurel Award for Horticulture to Jay Peckham, who I'd asked to invite up, from the Peckham Brothers Company. To say that Peckham Brothers Company is the cornerstone of construction in Newport is an understatement. In fact, when the Preservation Society was formed in 1945, the Peckham family had already been on Aquidneck Island for nearly 300 years. And the Peckham family had always been famous for its quarry, which produces world-class crushed stone, and for building a lot of the roads in Newport and Middletown. But there's a softer side to Peckham Brothers that I, in fact, never really realized. They have been in the landscape business for as far back as these mansions have existed. And they have pulled off some of these incredible landscape designs through the years for the Arthur Curtis James Estate, the Ledges, Rough Point, and many of our fabulous landscapes. Peckham Brothers has been involved in these projects since the early days of the Preservation Society. Jay Peckham can remember going to meetings with his father, with Mrs. Warren, the founder of the Preservation Society. And at those meetings, they would plan the resurrection and restoration of our fabulous properties and landscapes. Because the properties had been run down from the Gilded Age. The families had run out of money. Things were going this way with these properties, and when the roof is leaking and the boiler's broken, the gardens and the grass go first. You can't have these huge staffs of landscapers that they once had, so they started simplifying all of these gardens and doing away with a lot of the work that had been achieved. Peckham Brothers has bringing them back for years now. They've done a phenomenal job. You can see in some of these slides the way some of these gardens had been let go. If you look at the Elm Sunken Garden 30 years ago and then look at it today, it's a whole different ballgame. And Jeff Curtis, who's back here in the crowd, is our Director of Gardens and Landscape here. And he has worked closely with Jay and Peckham Brothers through the years. He says, for the past 30 years, we've collaborated on projects large and small. It is the dependability and can-do spirit exhibited by the Peckham Brothers that shines through the decades-long working relationship. And while dependability is important, the quality of the work performed is the key. Peckham Brothers are perfectionists. They are bringing these gardens back to a level that meets and exceeds the Gilded Age. And so we are very lucky that as the Preservation Society has transformed these properties from homes, residential homes, into museums, Peckham Brothers has constructed the driveways, the walkways, and the intricately patterned portieres. I had to Google that to figure out what that means. Those are flower beds. To withstand the high visitor rates and the constant traffic that these properties see. We have millions of people come through these properties, and they always look pristine because Peckham Brothers has built these things with such quality that they can take the heavy foot traffic. And the Preservation Society has an additional burden that other properties they work on don't have. We have to take it to historical standards. There's no cutting corners here, but a family that's been doing this for 300 years knows how to do it the way it was originally because they worked on it originally. So we're really happy to have Jay here tonight to accept this award. And there are so many projects, but I'll just name a few that they've done. The sod maze at Chateau-sur-Mer they did in 1974. The Elm Sunken Garden they took over in 2001, and you've seen what it looks like today. The Green Animals Formal Garden, and the front landscapes at both the Elms and the Marble House. And the Rosecliff Rose Garden, which is key to Rosecliff. This work continues. No rest for the weary, Jay. This summer, Peckham Brothers will be restoring the paths and landscape at the Cour d'Amour and at Rosecliff. So the Preservation Society thanks Peckham Brothers for their superb work, skilled craftsmanship, and tireless dedication to perfection. We look forward to many more years. Thank you.
Okay, tonight it is my honor to present the Laurel Award for Artisanship to Stephen Feinberg. Stephen, would you mind joining me up here? So before we begin, I'd like to welcome Stephen's mother, who is in the audience with us tonight. And it's my understanding that she had a birthday yesterday. So happy birthday, Mrs. Feinberg. I can't think of a better way to celebrate than to be here tonight, right? So just a quick story. One of the first events I was invited to as a new trustee of the Preservation Society was a lunch where Stephen spoke. And it was actually about a year ago. And
I hope I didn't kill your appetite.
No, not at all. I left, I was so impressed. Stephen spoke about his childhood in Rhode Island, about his work, his career, and he knows an amazing amount about Rhode Island tax credits and how to sell them. So I did leave very impressed, but it wasn't just about his career. I was impressed with how much he loves Rhode Island and how that love for Rhode Island really shines through in all of his work. So if you'll allow me to share a glimpse of what I learned and the impact he has had on our organization and the city.
I'm not here.
As the executive director of the Rhode Island Film and Television Office since 2004, Stephen has been a tireless champion of Rhode Island as the ideal location to host motion picture and television productions. A Cranston native, Stephen spent 22 years working in Los Angeles before returning to the Ocean State. Stephen has directed over $800 million of film and television production into the state, creating thousands of jobs for local talent, crew, and small businesses, while providing opportunities for students to learn the craft of filmmaking. Stephen's notable collaborations include working with Wes Anderson, Lord Fellows, Mark Ruffalo, Bette Midler, Richard Gere, and Zoe Saldana. Productions include the HBO Emmy Award-winning series, The Gilded Age, Disney's record-breaking Hocus Pocus 2, Oscar-nominated Moonrise Kingdom, and 3 seasons of the Peabody Award-winning Showtime series, Brotherhood, which my husband has definitely watched at least 3 times. His diligent work helped set the stage, pun intended, for legendary Downton Abbey creator Julian Fellows to consider the Newport Mansions as a possible location to film scenes for his new historical drama, The Gilded Age. Stephen was an enthusiastic proponent of the Newport Mansions throughout Lord Fellows' decision-making process. Indeed, he was one of the guests in attendance for the special dinner in the Gold Room of Marble House that helped convince Lord Fellows to bring his production to Newport. The show is a top-rated series on HBO Max. As a result, countless viewers were introduced to the glamour and opulence of the Newport Mansions. Immaculately preserved Gilded Age spaces like the music room at the Breakers, the dining room at Chateau Sumer, and Miss Berwin's bedroom at the Elms are displayed prominently in the series. This exposure does not factor in the impact of repeat viewing by fans of the Gilded Age, or the intense local, regional, and national media coverage the show garnered in its first season. Season 2 promises to bring even more awareness of the mansions. The series has also sparked a renewed interest in the Gilded Age, undoubtedly one of the most fascinating and impactful eras in American history. The effect this series will have on the Preservation Society is incalculable, but it is not too soon to recognize that Stephen has performed a remarkable service, not just for the Newport Mansions, but for the city itself and the state of Rhode Island. I ask that you please join me in congratulating Stephen Feinberg, recipient of the Laurel Award.
Thank you very much. I have to say a word because I'm in show business. Thank you so much for this honor. I want to thank Trudy and Phil and Bill and the whole team. I want to thank my mom and I wish my dad was here for producing me. Thank you. But I also want to thank my assistant, Carol Conley, who's been with me for 19 years. We just brought Scott Saracen here. But there are 2 people who really were very, very instrumental in the success that we've done together. First was Randy Rosenbaum for hiring me amongst, I think there were 300 applicants. And then the real champion behind all of this, when I approached him, who understood what I was talking about when no one else knew what the hell I was talking about films in Rhode Island, was the Speaker of the House, Bill Murphy, William J. Murphy. Please stand up. Come on, stand up. When I was talking about film and TV shows for Rhode Island, and one of the things we talked about were the Newport Mansions, and I said, there's going to be a time, God willing, that we're going to have a show that's going to really put a spotlight on these beautiful treasures. And Bill believed in that idea, that vision. So, Bill, I wouldn't have been able to do it without you and your and you talk about brotherhood. He was the one who believed in brotherhood too. So thank you so much.
Good evening. I am honored to present the Laurel Award for Artisanship to Lori Petkus from HBO. Is Lori joining me? Great. Nice to see you. Thank you for being here. Lori's title at HBO is Location Manager. It sounds simple, but yet it's really not. Managing locations for a major film production carries with it a tremendous responsibility, and it's a role that requires great organizational skills and excellent communication, which Lori has in spades. This person must ensure that each member of the cast and crew knows exactly where to go and when to go. She is responsible for the filming schedule and things such as helping to determine shooting locations, parking, power sources, catering, and any permissions needed locally. I think as local residents, we know how challenging that could be. So well done to Lori. Taking an already very strenuous job and then layering in the complexities that COVID presented during this time frame make Lori even more of a superstar. Because of COVID, her job also included extra protocol with testing and organizing all of the nurses on site to administer tests to everyone involved with the production of The Gilded Age. Let's not forget, she is dealing with very important actresses and actors and extras, and I'm sure that was a very interesting experience. I know she had her hands full, to say the least. Lori has been such an integral part of the HBO experience for us here in Newport. An experience that has brought invaluable attention to Newport and the Newport mansions. And my goodness, there is certainly a renewed interest in the Gilded Age. We are so grateful to you for that. Lori's utmost respect for the historic houses of the Preservation Society featured in the film's production, along with her highly professional approach to everything she does, are just a few reasons that she is so deserving of this award. I ask that you please join me in congratulating Lori Petkus, the recipient of the Laurel Award for Artisanship. Congratulations, wonderful.
Thank you, thanks for the time.
Thank you very much for this. It's such an honor, and it's been such a pleasure to work here. It's beyond a location manager's dream, and probably any person in the film business's dream, to have the opportunity to not only step foot in these buildings, but to actually see them behind the velvet stanchions and show up here every day and see how the inner workings of all of this goes. I too have a couple notes because I work in the film business, but I just need a minute to open them up here because there's so many people here I need to thank. But I will start by saying thanks so much for this award. It is a total honor to be recognized by you, the trustees, and the members of the PS, stewards who work to maintain these architecturally significant properties so they can be shared with the public and so film companies like HBO can come and take over the place. It's been the highlight of my career to work with the Preservation Society as a creative partner. As you've heard, Trudy has many creative ideas, which she was not hesitant to share with all of us at any given time. From Trudy's initial warm welcome to Phil's detailed execution of our plans, we were able to accomplish what our producers actually feared might not be possible. They did come away from that meeting feeling very welcomed and so excited to shoot here, and then came to me and said, "Do you really think that we can bring an entire film crew here?" And then I met Phil, and my fears were assuaged, actually. When I did first meet Phil, I thought, oh my gosh, this man has no idea of the tsunami that's coming his way. Between the endless numbers of visits during prep, what do you say, 50 conservatively? I was here twice a month, it seems, to the ever-changing art department plans and the boundless needs of 150 to 400 people landing at multiple locations each day, Phil and the special events staff never blinked. And by that, I mean they never slept. Amazingly, no matter how many last-minute needs and loony requests I submitted and our art department submitted, we'd get the standard 2-minute phone call from Phil saying, we're fine. And we were, even during the most challenging of times, which was shooting during COVID. While our plot lines may not exactly hew with the stories of the Vanderbilts, anyone who's familiar with their stories knows that we're not that far off. And so I do feel proud to know that we are contributing to the furtherance of more tourism coming here your way. We're so fortunate to have had the opportunity to place our characters and our crew in the actual homes where these stories took place. Personally, I just want to say, when people ask me why I continue to be a location manager and why I do this work instead of becoming a producer or stepping up the ladder, I really have to explain that for me, the stories of the people behind the scenes are always just as, if not more interesting than the stories that we put on the screen. And yes, while the stories of the Vanderbilts and Berwins are fascinating, the stories I'm speaking of are those of the people I'm fortunate enough to meet and to work with each day. So I really want to say thanks to all of you, to Trudy, to Phil, to Pat, to Mark, who were in the parking lot when I saw them, just where I left them a year ago, to the conservators, to Patty, to Leslie, to Nick, to the people who run the houses, to Dagan and Harold, for your commitment and cooperation, but mostly for embracing me and our crew with a spirit of friendship and kindness with each step of the way. Thank you so much.
The music has been very interesting. Does anyone know who played Tiptoe Through the Tulips? Tiny. And what instrument was he playing? Very good. We're dating ourselves. It is now my pleasure to award the International Preservation Award, which is going to Alvaro Fernandez Villaverde de Silva. Not too bad. I practiced that all day as well. He's not here with us tonight. He may be on Zoom, I'm not sure. It's 1 a.m. in the morning in Spain, I think, so very likely he's not. We're presenting this award to Alvaro for his extraordinary commitment to safeguard the cultural and natural heritage of Spain and the nations of the European continent with a spirit of cooperation and collaboration. The International Preservation Award acknowledges the extraordinary efforts undertaken by individuals or institutions from around the world that safeguard and preserve culturally significant properties. This distinction is awarded to those whose preservation efforts and actions evoke a sense of passion and inspiration in others. As a preservation leader with few peers, Alvaro has worked tirelessly for much of his life to preserve and protect the cultural heritage of Spain and Europe. During his years of service, he sought to overcome the challenges and burdens that befall nearly all preservation endeavors of importance. And with each success, he made the organizations he worked with stronger and more resilient. He is internationally recognized for his leadership of several important preservation organizations. As chairman of the Patrimonio Nacional from 1994 to 2004, Alvaro oversaw 24 palaces, monasteries, royal convents, and annex buildings housing more than 160,000 historic and artistic pieces, as well as 22,000 hectares of historic gardens, forests, and other natural spaces. Coming from the legacy of the Spanish crown, the collections and land holdings represent the magnitude of Spain's cultural heritage. They are a national treasure that serve as a source of pride and enjoyment for the citizens of Spain and for visitors from around the world. Alvaro's leadership positioned Patrimonio Nacional to be ready to meet the needs of the 21st century audiences, much the way Trudy has for us. Not resting on his laurels, Alvaro would also chair España Nostra for several years. España Nostra has devoted nearly 50 years to protect and promote the values of cultural and natural heritage in Spain. They oversee educational programs that spotlight endangered heritage, promote best practices in preservation, and encourage collaboration between public and private institutions. Alvaro also served as Europa Nostra's vice president from 1998 to 2016. Europa Nostra is Europe's largest organization devoted to preserving cultural heritage. With an army of professionals and volunteers numbering in the millions, its reach is felt throughout Europe. For his dedicated efforts, he received the Medal of Honor in 2016, Europa Nostra's highest award. The citation noted 2 of the many attributes that have guided Alvaro in his quest to do meaningful things: his ability to think strategically and his skill at offering keen insights based on his invaluable diplomatic skills honed over his years in the Spanish diplomatic service. Alvaro's untiring service continues. He is a member of the board of directors of the Prado Museum, the Naval Museum in Spain, and he is the president of the Alvaro de Bazan Foundation, which runs various family buildings in Spain that contain significant art collections that are open to the public. For all of his service to Spain, he was awarded the Gold Medal of Fine Arts by the King of Spain. Alvaro has left an indelible mark on the preservation of countless tangible artifacts for which we express our sincere gratitude and admiration. Alvaro's personality exudes integrity, grace, dignity, and above all, genuine respect for others. That is the full measure of this man. It is with great honor that we present Alvaro Fernandez Villaverde Silva with the International Preservation Award. That concludes the award portion of our thing. Could we have just one more round of applause for all the winners for tonight? Is there any other business to come before this organization? Seeing none, could I get a motion to adjourn? And a second? All in favor? Thank you. Okay, there'll be a brief meeting of the Board of Trustees in the Marble House Dining Room immediately following this meeting. And for the rest of you, please enjoy the beautiful evening and the libations. Thank you all for coming.